Hi everyone, we're here at Hampden Park in Glasgow for the big preview ahead of tomorrow's big game, Hibs against Celtic in the Premier Sports Cup final, and we have got a jam-packed video for you. We've got Hibs Insight on the way with Liam from Hibs Podcast Down the Slope. We've got the meeting everybody's been waiting for with John McGinley and Ange Postecoglou very soon as well, and we've got all the chat here from Hampden with a very special guest. His name is Daniel Ratanapintha and he's come all the way from Australia. Daniel, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I've come all the way from down under. The pronunciation on the surname was brilliant. It only probably
practicing that all day.
It only probably would have been better if you did your fake Australian accent that is so famous on your channel. So I appreciate you welcoming me on. It's a pleasure to be here at Hampden, and it's definitely a lot of anticipation leading to this Sunday. So happy days, mate.
You're the third Aussie ever on the channel, just behind Scott McDonald and Vince Regari. Do you think you can live up to those two?
Well, fourth, because you obviously interview Big Ange all the time as well, so he's on your channel. But I'm not sure if I can live up to Vince or Scott, but Aussies are always good fun, so take it away, mate.
So what made you come over? What is it, 16,000 kilometres all the way across from is it Sydney?
Yeah, so I live in Sydney. I'm from Melbourne, but I live in Sydney. There's a lot of math going into, just figuring out how far I've come, but something over 10,000 miles. It was very long and a lot of PCR tests just to get here. No, look, for a lot of us Aussies, it was just so thrilling to see when Ange joined the club. I always had a soft spot for Celtic. They were always my team, but there's so many Australians were just thrilled when Big Ange came, because we watched him not only in the national team, where obviously the spotlight was on him, but when he went to Yokohama to see an Australian doing so well, win the league there, and then to take the leap over to Celtic, we always knew that he had it in him. His brand of football was always something that, for me personally, I was very passionate about. But to answer your early question as to why I came over, we've been locked up for 2 years. Yeah. So just to get out of the country is probably the biggest thing for me, but also to do something that is something that I'm passionate about, because when I was sitting at home in lockdown and isolation, living at home, waking up at 3, 4 in the morning to watch, Livingston away or whatever it might be, that was the most, on Celtic TV, that was the most thrilling thing for me, and probably came into work a bit tired many mornings, but it was all worth it, and it got a lot of us through, and it got me through definitely, and it gave us a sense of purpose, and I'll tell you what, everyone online, and now that I've been here, has been incredibly welcoming, so it's a big family, and it's well worth my while. Yeah,
you were chatting just before we started recording about how welcoming people have been, the people going to incredible lengths, so well done anyone who's helped Daniel, but the Celtic family in general will do that. I wanted to ask you about the tweet you put out. People have probably, as a fair chance, they've seen this tweet, because the numbers it has done is absolutely mega. It was you standing after your first game, Motherwell, with a flag that's right there. We'll maybe get that out later on. And you also had an article written about you. Glasgow Live wrote an article.
A couple, actually.
You're a big news, mate.
Yeah, and I'm a big news man. Wherever I go, there's headlines for sure. No, look, getting out to my first game, Motherwell, it was just amazing to get into Parkhead, just to come to Paradise, and to see those lights was something that you just get goosebumps thinking about it.
Are you talking about the disco lights? Or
No, that was later on in the night. It was incredible just to be there. I took a low key photo and thought I'd pop it on Twitter, and lo and behold, it got shared around quite a bit. And to be fair, it wasn't like a big political statement or anything. I just sort of said, I'm not going to bring a Union Jack to Parkhead, and
I would hope not.
No, exactly.
But I know.
Yeah, with my Irish heritage, I thought I'd just pop get a custom-made flag, and like I said, everyone's just sort of been incredibly welcoming, and to be there and enjoy myself, see the first game, it was awesome, and I got out to Ross County as well, where the atmosphere was incredible as well. So it's been a pretty awesome experience so far.
Will we show everyone quickly the flag that we're chatting about?
Yeah, I'll let you.
If you see this in, we'll hold the full thing up. If you see this in Ange or Tom Rogic's hands tomorrow, then you'll know where it's come from.
Well, hopefully with the cup as well. That's probably the best thing.
Ideally,
we want. So, brilliant to bring it along, and it's good to see that everyone's embraced the Aussie Irish flag.
My next question was Ange Postecoglou. How amazing is he? that's basically a question you could chat about forever, isn't it?
Mate, he's a god to me and to a lot of Australians. You know, there's always people. I mean, there were people who didn't even know who he was when he first came to Scotland. Actually, the majority, to be fair. And I think a lot of us Aussies were just sort of sitting by thinking, you have no idea how good this guy is. He's also incredibly humble. He knows he hasn't achieved anything yet. He knows the expectations and the culture. He's taken in everything about this football club, and he understands what needs to be achieved. And he's only going to continue to build on that. But from the day that he came, I mean, we saw what he achieved at the national team, the brand of football that he played at a World Cup, even at the Confederations Cup, to see the calibre of teams that he was going up against and the brand of football he was achieving. To be fair, with limited resources, and you know, he achieved so much, and obviously winning the Asian Cup and going on to win the J League with Yokohama in such fashion. So to see the way that he's come, the high press, the possession football, but also the way that he encourages youth philosophy, the way that he'll bring in amazing talent from overseas. He can bring in Jota and Kyogo. Mate, I can't get enough of the guy. And also the way that he brings in the Aussie banter for the Scottish press is probably my favourite thing about him, and I think that's pretty much captured the imagination of everyone on Twitter. And
have you got a favourite line that he's had so far?
He's not from another planet, mate, because he knows exactly. That's just.
I think he was asked about Heart of Midlothian or someone like that, and I think that was his answer.
Yeah, I was still on the same planet, mate. I haven't come from outer space, so I kind of know. You'd be surprised how much I know about Hearts. It's got a strong Aussie connection, mate.
Do you think that frustrates him, though? Because, I mean, you're saying you lived in Australia and you could watch Celtic no bother playing Livingston or whoever.
Yeah.
It's kind of lazy journalism a little bit, isn't it?
I dare say, yeah, because Australians know their football. We also know that we, as a footballing nation, have a long way to go, but we definitely have an incredible footballing history and culture. And I think if you've taken the time, there's a good documentary about Ange on YouTube. Yeah, absolutely. That it shows the incredible rich history that back in the NSL days that has laid the foundation for Australian football. We have a great history and a wonderful multicultural community that loves the game of football that Ange has been a massive part of. So to take our absolute best export and just sort of think, oh, what do you know about Hearts? Well, mate, he's not from another planet. Well,
welcome to the Scottish media, Daniel. That's all I'll say. As I say, we've got so much to come up in this video. We're going to chat a bit more with Daniel about the game itself. Okay. We've got Hibs Insight coming. We've got, I keep billing it up, John McGinley meeting Ange. Maybe I'm the only person on the planet that's been waiting for this, but John has basically been the Ange correspondent for the entire globe since he's moved to Scotland. The guy tweets about Ange more than he spends time with his own family members. That's how much he loves the guy, and he's going to get a chance to chat to Ange, and you'll hear that later on. In terms of Hibs and the final here at Hampden, it's looking spectacular, by the way. Hampden, absolutely brilliant. How are we feeling about the game tomorrow in general?
Look, I don't know about yourself, but pretty confident. I think there's not been enough conversation about the run of form that this team's had, because obviously we are trailing Rangers at the moment, but to go, out of the last 10 or 11, we've got...
Yeah, I think it's 31 points out of the last possible 33.
Correct.
And the two we dropped, we could have beaten Livingston with a penalty.
And look, for me, I saw when I was up in Dingwall the other night, what a part of the world to go to as well, from Sydney, Australia. But to get out to Dingwall and Ross County and see the hunger that these boys had, I think it was spoken about that, I think it's so important to be able to pull off those results. But Cup football's a completely different game, especially in a final, but, 96 minute, and to see that they're passing the ball out from the back and they still stay true to that philosophy. They've got a fighting mentality, but also so true to Ange's brand of football. In regards to the final, I'm feeling good about it. I actually probably would have preferred to see us knock off Rangers instead, but, but Hibs, they'll probably embrace the Irish-Australian flag just as much, so we'll see how we go.
No, I'm buzzing for the game tomorrow. I think it's going to be a tough one for us. All finals are tough. You never really get an easy final. Hibs obviously in a difficult position at the moment. They've had David Gray come in for the last couple of games. I think it was a draw away to St Mirren, and they beat Dundee 1-0 in midweek. So they've hardly been spectacular, but I just think with his history, I don't know if you know, he scored the winning goal for them a couple of years ago as they beat Rangers to win the Scottish Cup for the first time in, I think, over 100 years. So he's got history with cups, and you always wonder about the fairy tale aspect of stuff like that. I don't know if fairy tales come into sport at all, but I've always got a thing in my mind thinking, David Gray, history of cups, is he going to win them another one tomorrow?
Oh, absolutely. I think obviously when it comes to cup football, it just comes down to moments, and he knows exactly what to do when it lifts. But hopefully we can control that. They've also got, is it Martin Boyle as well, the Aussie that is not from Australia.
That's another thing. You coming halfway across the whole way across the world and seeing Martin Boyle score, that's the other kind of fate that I'm seeing before my eyes.
No, honestly, well, I've been here for a week now and it's been nothing but wins the whole time. So hopefully that continues. It's a good luck charm. There's a few good luck charms as well. I think there was a jacket one of your colleagues had to wear as well. So I'm not sure.
I'm trying to. Is it a body warmer? I think it was Stevie.
That's the one. Yeah, I'm quite a keen observer as well. But look, it all comes down to moments, and I think that moment's going to hopefully come for the boys in green and white.
Talking about the other boys in green and white, let's get a bit of an insight on Hibernian. As I say, going through a tough period at the moment. Jack Ross left the club recently, but maybe a little bit of a rebirth in the last couple of games under David Gray. As you know, on the channel we like to get insight from other people, so earlier in the week I caught up with Liam from the Hibs podcast, Down the Slope. He was a big help to me, and here's how he's feeling ahead of the game.
I'm feeling mixed emotions, I think I would say. We've obviously been through a bit of a sticky patch, Hibs, the last sort of 5-6 weeks, and actually the win over Rangers feels like a heck of a long time ago now in the semi-final, and probably is the last sort of complete performance that we've put together as a club. So it is a bit of a final of unknowns, because I think we were going into it. David Gray really, since he's become interim coach, has been much of the same. In terms of the style of play under Jack Ross, he's not really had time to change an awful lot. And obviously, Celtic's injury problems probably given us a wee bit of encouragement, I would say, going into the final, because we know that you're going to be without some of the maybe star attacking players that played so well against us at Easter Road, 6-7 weeks ago now.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the questions I was going to ask with regards to David Gray. Obviously, at the time of recording, Hibs haven't appointed a new manager. By the time people are watching this, they probably will have. It does look like it's going to be Sean Maloney, I think. But you know, David Gray, it's kind of relevant to this game because David Gray is going to be the manager whatever happens. Yep. You're saying he hasn't really changed much. He's just kind of kept things going. Has there been bits of your team have improved?
It's really hard to say, Hamish. I think Jack Ross had a core of probably 12, maybe 13 players that he really trusted at Hibs. David Gray has pretty much selected that same 12 or 13 players that Jack Ross really trusted, and has pretty much used the systems that we've been using so far this season. So it's hard to say that there's been any noticeable difference. I think one thing I would definitely comment on is our inability this season to stop crosses has been a real issue. So last season in the league, we didn't concede a single goal from header. This season in the league, we've conceded nothing but goals from crosses. So one of the things I think David Gray has tried to do, at least, is I've seen more appetite, more willingness to go out and try and block and stop crosses from getting into the box and stop that becoming a problem. But other than that, it's really hard to notify anything else is different. I think the only other thing I would probably just pick up on is that there does seem to be a bit more of a willingness to hit that forward pass that little bit earlier. Something we did against Rangers in the semi-final to great effect. When it was on, we just hit it over the top, and we knew that was a way that we could expose them. So I'd expect us to do a wee bit of that on Sunday. When it's on, look for the ball over the top. Obviously, use Martin Boyle's pace to get in behind. It's not Nisbet's game, so it will be Boyle. He's kind of our sole threat in that respect.
Yeah, Boyle's the obvious player that we'll have to keep an eye on. He was just, I think he's a great player. He was brilliant in the semi-final. You mentioned Nisbet there. There has been some chat that he might not make this game because he picked up an injury, I think, along with Chris Cadden in the game against Dundee. Again, this is, news that will be very quickly out of date. People watching this will probably know, but if do you think he will play, and if he doesn't play, it's surely a big loss?
My sense is they will play. I think players always seem to just be able to find that little bit of 10% that they need to get themselves fit for finals, typically. So I'd expect him and Cadden, who both kind of walked off the pitch the other night, to be fit and be raring to go. It would be a loss, but Christian Doidge, who has come back from injury and hasn't looked like the player he was before injury, could come in to the team if Nisbet isn't available. And what Doidge probably lacks in terms of that natural finishing ability, he'll make up for in work rate and his willingness to get about the park. And actually, in some respects, when you're playing against Celtic or Rangers at Hampden, that's what you need sometimes, is you just need a guy who's going to be willing to do all the hard yards and potentially have the option of having Nisbet off the bench. Wouldn't be the worst thing for us.
Yeah, so is that the game plan that we saw against Rangers? Is that what you think we'll see on Sunday?
to an extent, or at least from an attacking perspective, I think under Jack Ross we'd become probably more of a counter-attacking team than Hibs. A lot of Hibs fans would be comfortable with us being. I think we are naturally a club that, with the exception of when we play Celtic and Rangers, we probably expect to dominate the ball. We probably expect to play the better brand of football. And we expect to take games to teams. Under Jack Ross, I don't think that's was prevalent enough, and that's why ultimately he's lost his job, because supporters didn't like the style of football. I would expect us to rely on the counter-attack. We will have to do something differently defensively from what we did against Celtic at Easter Road, because that first 30 minutes, I'm sure it was great for you guys, but it was absolutely terrible for us to watch first 30 minutes, because we didn't get the ball down at all. We didn't control any of the phases of the game. And I think if we let that happen again, we'll be in for a bit of a sorry day on Sunday. We need to get our foot on the ball, and we need to try and take some of the sting out of Celtic's sort of attacking play in the early stages. Yeah,
I mean, it'll be interesting. The atmosphere as well should be good. We won't go into the whole ticket debate because I don't want to fall out with you, but Hibs will have a big support there. We'll have a big support there. It should be a great afternoon.
It should be. And look, and typically for finals, fans turn up for finals, right? And we can get into the whole, like you say, we'll avoid getting into the whole ticket and fiasco. But I think with semi-finals, if you look historically, fans haven't always, of all clubs, all turned up in the numbers for semi-finals, but for finals, we all find that little bit of extra energy. It's 6 days before Christmas, so I get some people's kind of unwillingness maybe to part with hard-earned cash in the run-up to Christmas, because that's a tough time for people, but actually I think the atmosphere will be brilliant. I mean, 10,000 or 11,000 of us, how many were there at the semi-final, outsung Rangers to a man. So, with close to 20,000 of us inside Hampden on Sunday, I'm sure we'll give you guys a run for your money with the sound.
Yeah, you probably will. And daft question to finish off, you're obviously tipping Hibs to win the cup on Sunday.
So we did a preview podcast. I wasn't actually on our preview podcast this week, but we did do a preview earlier on the week, and I was able to give my opportunity to say what I think would happen. I think it will be 1-1 after 90 minutes and 120 minutes, and I think it will go to penalties. And I think Hibs will lift the cup on penalties. We've got a very good record in penalty shootouts. We tend to win them. We've also got a goalie who's 6'7", so even just kind of lying down, he should, in theory, be able to cover the vast majority of the goal. So I'm going for Hibs on penalties.
So that was an interesting stuff there from the Hibs point of view. A big thanks to Liam from the Hibs podcast Down the Slope. Such a nice guy. Genuinely, I'd never met him before, online or in person, and such a big help. And we'll definitely catch up with those guys in future. And maybe if you're some sort of a Hibs and Celtic fan, or a lurking Hibs fan, and you don't know about the Down the Slope podcast, definitely check that out. Will we get on to what everyone, and I've been given this such a big bill and it's probably going to disappoint, but John McGinley meeting Ange Postecoglou. We had a Celtic press conference ahead of the final today, and John got the chance to speak to both Ange and a player. You obviously heard the player yesterday, so let's get into John speaking to Ange and some other interesting things that Ange had to say.
Ange, is there a satisfaction to seeing, perhaps more fringe players or players out of position still getting the job done for Celtic? The theme for the last few weeks has very much been about injuries, but then you see players like, Scales coming into the team, you see Lyle Abada, playing through the middle. Is that a sign of, the progress that has been made within the whole group? And, it's not just about players, it's about the system itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and it's, as I said, as a manager, you want all your players available, because there's a reason you've brought them here, and you want your best players, or the ones who are in form, to be always available and always firing. But that's not how it works, and you kind of realise that the dynamics of football is that things change all the time. And as I said, people unfortunately don't get to see our training, but when we train every day, everyone trains. It's not like we separate the group and say, well, this is our starting 11 and this is the other guys, and they all train together, they all train at the same intensity, we have the same expectations, and it's for that reason. And like I said, credit to the guys who come in, not just because they've come in and done the job, but because it's the hardest thing in the world for footballers to continually work hard every day without being given an opportunity. You need the levels of motivation you need to come in here every day, put in the same amount of work as the guy next to you, but potentially not being able to get the reward of playing on the weekend is difficult. But as I said, that's the standards we've set, and it's why I think guys like you said, like Scalzi, or if we ask somebody to do a different job like Liel, that they'll do it, and they'll do it willingly, because they know that that's what they prepare for every day. And the bottom line is they respect one another. They respect the work each other puts. And if I ask them to do a job for 1 week or 2 weeks, then they understand that what they're going to do it because it's the best for the group.
And Ange, this is your first final with Celtic, but you've taken teams to many finals in the past. What lessons do you take from those big occasions that you've managed in the past, and those somewhat unpredictable finals in terms of what you're bringing to this week?
Exactly that. It's not going to run smooth. I can guarantee you that. There won't be any time where I'll be sitting back just sort of taking in the atmosphere. Just about every big game I've been involved in has had some ridiculous twist or turn, and I'm expecting the same on the weekend. And it's what excites me about it, because as I said, I don't know what it's going to be. In life we all want things to run smoothly, but what I love about football is that it doesn't. Invariably in the big games, it definitely doesn't. But it's also there an opportunity to create something that's memorable. The ones I've been involved in, people still talk about because they weren't smooth. Something extraordinary had to be done on the day to get the victory. And so stiff drink after, mate, and I'll be all right.
Good luck on Sunday, Ange.
Thanks, mate.
We won't do a predicted 11 for this video because obviously would be guesswork at this stage. So will we chat a little bit about the players who could make a difference tomorrow? Tom Rogic for me is the obvious one. Yeah. I've said it before. People chat about Callum McGregor, Kyogo Jota as being our key men. I think in recent weeks, Rogic has almost turned into the indispensable player in that team. He obviously comes on Wednesday night and plays the ball in for the Ralston winner, and I don't think there's another player in that Celtic squad that does what Rogic does there in the 97th minute.
On his wrong foot as well.
Yeah, it's a great ball.
Yeah, Big Tim, the Wizard of Oz, as he's called, mate. To see him doing so well, I mean, obviously he was out of form or injury and whatnot for a couple of years. To see that he's come back to form under Ange and do so well has been brilliant to see. But he's he's like a 6'4" Messi. The way he obviously used to represent Australia in futsal when he was younger as well. So he's got those skills for a big man. It's unbelievable to see. The goal that he got a few weeks ago, dribbling about 17 players just to get the goal, was incredible as well. So to see the way that he's come to, like we talk about moments as well, lift exactly when we need the most. He's cool as ice, and if you need anyone in a final, and we've seen him in cups before, do very, very well, and hopefully we can see that again.
He loves it here. I think he loves Celtic Park. I would argue he's had more big moments here. The Aberdeen final, last minute winner. I think he scored one earlier in that season against Aberdeen. I remember him scoring one against Rangers where he completely turned the player and kind of slid it in with his right foot. I'm sure he's scored numerous other goals here as well. He just always seems to turn up at the big occasion, and I think he's going to be the main guy tomorrow for Celtic. Elsewhere, what have you made of the defence lately?
Look, I've loved to see how, obviously, Carl Starfelt's really come into form. It wasn't ideal to see him get sent off, but we're not going to talk about controversial decisions there. But obviously, Carl's come to great form as well, and he had a slow start, but he's really showing what he's capable of. In regards to Carter Vickers, I'm just
amazing.
If we can keep him, however possible, would be brilliant. He's just absolute solid at the back, and hopefully if Julian's coming back over the next few months, we're only going to have more depth there. There's actually, we're quite spoilt for choices in regards to fullbacks. Obviously, injuries playing a big part at the moment, but a fully fit squad. How many do we have there?
Yeah. There's definite options, and when you look at players tomorrow that can lead Celtic as well, there's a number of options here. Rogic he might not be a leader in terms of a shouter or even a captain contender, but Tom Rogic will lead Celtic tomorrow. Callum McGregor will lead Celtic,
but even Juranovic as well.
With
his actions as well.
I think he's a big personality, Juranovic, in the dressing room.
Even in the Croatian national team, we've seen this, and he can play all across the park as well, as we saw against County as well. He's playing up on the wing for a while there as well. So to see him play on either side of fullback as well, he's a leader as well for me. But to have that duo of McGregor and Rogic in the centre, you just can't get much better than that. If Turnbull's going to go false 9 again, we don't know. It's obviously all up to, you know, the squad that'll be released, but versatility and also hunger off the bench as well. You know, we saw Moffat get his debut the other night, and you see players who haven't been featuring in the starting 11 who can come into the squad, and because it's such a strong culture out at Lennoxtown, you can see that extreme hunger just to make an impact for Ange, for the team, for the badge, and it's wonderful to see that really embraced.
Yeah, I mean, we heard earlier from Liam, the Hibs fan, chatting about, you know, Kevin Nisbet, whether he's going to be fit. I think he'd be a massive player for them to have back. Obviously, Kyogo is the big one, and once again, just to repeat, at this stage, we don't know whether Kyogo is going to start or not, but having him back, you know, starting that game tomorrow would be absolutely huge for Celtic.
Look, I mean, everyone knows how good he is. His hunger on and off the ball is incredible. And, you know, talk about leadership. He leads with his actions. The way that he's sprinting towards the keeper for 95 plus minutes, you know, pressing and going back into his own half and sliding in. You know, that speaks volumes. So that in itself is incredible, but obviously what he can do on the ball, what he can, the way that he finishes, and he's such a presence about him. I think that's probably my biggest thing about him, because of what he's achieved and what he's done in this short period, and the way that the fans have embraced him.
Yeah.
When he comes on the park, the whole stadium lifts, and I think the players do as well.
And the opposition probably, you know, the opposite happens to them.
Absolutely. So he's a real impact player, but I think if you can start him, if he's fit enough after what's happened, mate, like it'll be brilliant to see Kyogo come on and have a big final.
It'd be a huge boost, just an absolutely massive boost to everyone in that stadium, and the stadium's going to be absolutely rocking, you know, for the game. But that would be an extra boost, and just seeing Ange with that trophy on Sunday night would be a pretty special feeling. I mean, first trophies won by Celtic managers, thinking back over the years. Neil Lennon's first one was here, Motherwell Scottish Cup final, a week after he'd had all that hassle, you know, that well documented season, and that was really special. Ronnie Dyla's first one here. Brendan Rodgers, I think first one was here against Aberdeen in the same competition. Amazing moments, and I think if Ange's Celtic can beat Hibs tomorrow, by whatever means, extra time, penalties, if he's got that trophy in his hands, you know, with the Celtic support, I think it'll be the most defining image of this season so far.
Yeah.
And I think that the boost it would give everyone, that tangible reward for what Celtic have done so far, because it's been really tough so far this season. European qualifiers, Ange said it himself, we've always been kind of fighting not a losing battle, but we've always been up against it.
Uphill.
Yeah, injuries, players coming in late, you know, injuries again, new manager, people doubting Ange, let's be honest, people doubting some of the signings. And if we can win this trophy tomorrow, it's obviously huge because it's another trophy, and I would never downplay winning any trophy, but I think this would be pretty special tomorrow, because it would be an answer to all of the critics, and it would be a reward to all of the Celtic fans who have gone through hell, you know, over the last 18 months. It's been as bad a time as I can ever remember supporting Celtic, and if we can win this trophy tomorrow, it will kind of make things all right in the world again.
And to see that image of him holding the trophy, can I ask from an Australian perspective? Like we were saying earlier, I think we all knew what he was capable of. I mean, does it justify what we were saying? And for you as a Celtic supporter, to see that image, like from day one when he came, did you see this day coming? And I mean, we don't want to jinx it just yet, but.
Yeah, I mean this is famously ending up in TikTok on Monday when we get beat 3-0 off Hibs. But I definitely feel that, you know, when Ange first came in, I think in general, for maybe the first 24 hours, there was a bit of what you were saying, you know, who's this guy? Because it was the whole Eddie Howe stuff. Eddie Howe was a proven name, and Ange over this part of the world wasn't a proven name, and arguably still isn't a proven name because he's not really won anything. But I think when that kind of Eddie Howe stuff, you know, went down and the Ange stuff, you know, emerged, and everyone realised Ange was coming in, I think everyone was pretty happy. And if you asked any Celtic fan right now, who would you rather have had in, Ange or Eddie Howe? And Ange, you know, accompanied by all of this feeling, we would not have got this feeling with Eddie Howe. I don't know what it is about Ange. He's done the same over in Australia. He's just giant, isn't he? He just brings everyone with him. It's like more than just a guy, it's a feeling.
But he just gets it. He goes to the fans after the game, he lifts them up, he says the right things in the press conferences, he has the right energy. We saw him in that first training session when he was mic'd up. It's everything about the bloke. I mean, I can't get enough of it. And mate, the final, it's going to be awesome.
And you're going.
I am.
You get sorted out, so excellent.
I did, yeah. Through networking and whatnot. Obviously, work back in Australian football, so a few texts and phone calls and begging and whatnot, and I've got a ticket. So yeah, mate, should be right. Should be good.
Oh, it's going to be so amazing here tomorrow night. The stadium, just the setup's brilliant. They could maybe have had, rather than Andy Robertson, they could maybe have had like Kyogo or someone up there, but hey ho, we can't blame the SFA for everything. We're going to leave it there then, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel. I think you were meant to be going home next week, but you've delayed that because you've also secured a ticket for the Derby game on the 2nd of January, if that even happens.
We'll see how we go, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks for the time, and I really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks wherever you're watching in the world, Scotland, Ireland, Australia. Hopefully Celtic win tomorrow and can give us all something to celebrate. That's all for now. Take care and hail hail.